Good morning and welcome to Maitland Sports Ground on what I've got to say is a beautiful Saturday morning, and we're here for the Country Rugby League Junior Championships Round 3. We've got the Andrew Johns Cup starting in a couple of minutes. We've got the Laurie Daley Cup happening after that. And, well, where else in the world would you rather be? There's football on here all day. There's later in the day, there's SG ball and that sort of thing, eventually leading up to the first grade game at 5:30 between the Knights and the Sharkies. But for the moment, we're focused on the Country Rugby League, and it's a big day. We've got these games on 9 o'clock and then 10:30. It's the Newcastle Knights up against the Central Coast Roosters in both grades, and all through the day there's football happening. At 10 o'clock, Illawarra and the Western Rams at Fig Tree. There's also a game there at 11:20. At 10:30, the West Tigers and Penrith, and then again at 11:45. That's happening out at Campbelltown. Northern Rivers and North Coast up in Grafton, 11:45 and 1:05. The Greater Northern Region, Tigers and Parramatta, 12 o'clock and 1:20 at Singleton. And Monero are playing against Riverina, 12 o'clock and 1:20 at West Belconnen down in Canberra. So you can just really stick to the Bar TV today, stick to the Country Rugby League website and see the very best up-and-coming players from around country New South Wales battling it out in round 3 of this competition. Now, as it stands, in the Andrew Johns Cup, it's Northern Rivers who lead the way at the moment on 4 points. The Greater Northern Region Tigers, they're on 4 as well. Those are the two undefeated teams, the two teams who have won both games in this competition so far. North Coast are third on 3 points. Parramatta are fourth with a point, and the Central Coast and Newcastle, the two teams battling it out today, neither of them have got a win. They're at the bottom of the table, both on 0. So there's plenty to fight for today, because if you don't get the win today, your season might be over. These teams, remember, only play 5 games in the competition. We'll take you through the teams for the first game, that is the Johns Cup. For the Newcastle Knights, number 1, Aaron Cottrell. Number 2, Cruz Cook, as you see them making their way onto the field. Number 3, Kane Thomas. 4, Macaulay Aoki. 5, Nathan Roberts. 6, Dylan Duffin. 7, Cooper Taylor. 8, Taj Ridley. 9, Takaray Kuru. 10, Bo Dwyer. 11, Jordan Jones. 12, Riley Cullen. And 13, Regan Glover. The bench, 14, Will Regan. 15, Cody Schultz-Ralph. 16, Aidan Shepherd. 17, Jai Fisher. And 18, Lachlan Fitzhenry. Now for the Central Coast Roosters, who are making their way out now, led by their captain, Cooper Corcoran. The side looks this way. Number 1, Jack Granger. 2, Bo Newlands. You can expect those two to alternate through the day. Number 3, Jack Martin. 4, Nash Dorrit Maven. 5, Drew James. 6, Fletcher Powell. 7, Max Hong. 8, Marlon Guest. 9, Cooper Corcoran. 10, Josh Shaw. 11, Kate Broadley moving from the centres. 12, Nicholas Elwyn. 13, Dean Edginton. And on the bench, 14, Blake Clapham. 15, Ben Schmidt. 16, Nicholas Shearman. And 17, Tamana Henry. The coach of the Newcastle Knights is Joel Penny. The coach of the Roosters is Damien Lawler. Lawler, of course, a great name in these parts in rugby league circles in Maitland. And all is in readiness. As you can see, the field is looking an absolute picture on this Saturday morning. It's Morgan Campbell with you for round 3 of the Country Championships for the juniors in New South Wales. And these two sides, of course, last week they were in action. The Central Coast Roosters had a loss, 36-12 against the North Coast Bulldogs. It was a tough day for them down at Murray Breen Oval. And the Knights, they had an even tougher day, 40 points to 10 against the Greater Northern Region Tigers up in Scone. We are away in round 3 of the Andrew Johns Cup, and the ball trickling towards the touchline. It'll be the Roosters with first use of it. The Roosters playing in red, white and blue. The Newcastle Knights playing in the red and blue. And the first hit up is going to be taken by Josh Shaw, and he gets the legs driving towards the 30. There's a little bit of a crowd in, I must say, already today. There are a few people who've made their way in who presumably are hanging around until 5:30 when the Knights play the Sharks in first grade, as Nicholas Elwyn's taken over there, and Josh Shaw's looking for work. He wants another hit up, and up towards halfway he goes. This is a good start by the Roosters. One of these two teams is going to get their first points of 2019 in this game today. As this is taken down there by the Knights, the first kick, it had a bit more aerial about it than they probably would have liked, and it's Aaron Cottrell in the headgear who starts the Knights with their first use of the ball. They're in good field position too. And Shaw's involved in that tackle. And the Knights going left to right. There's a penalty. They get the first penalty of the morning. So the referee's not taking any time to warm up. And it'll be Dylan Duffin who's going to send this into touch. This Maitland Sports Ground reopened a couple of years ago after a big redevelopment. It looks a picture, I must say. They removed the grandstands from this side of the field, which were quite a long way from the ground, and now we're right up on halfway in beautiful position. And here's the Knights with the ball, and that was Jordan Jones, and he found a pass, and it's Regan Glover who's got it in the middle of the park. They'll look to the left-hand side. This is a bit of a jinking run by Taylor, and he was threatening the line. Ridley, and that's gone to ground over there. It was Duffin who threw the pass, and well, it all came to nothing in the end for the Knights, but that was the first threat, and the Roosters get some relief. Both of these teams have been a little bit leaky in their two defeats. The Knights, well, they've conceded 78 points in 2 games. The Roosters, they've conceded 66. So you might expect a few points today. You'd expect the Knights will be fairly keen to be back in their own territory after a fairly unproductive trip to Scone last week. They copped defeats in both grades, as here's Marlon Guest carting it forward with plenty of vim and vigour. These lads run hard. Now here's Edginton. That's another good carry. Look at them coming in on him. Corcoran's a dummy half. He'll find Powell. Powell finds Shaw. Look at Shaw go. Gets the legs pumping again. He'll carry them into the Knights' territory. He's a big unit and he does some damage, Josh Shaw. He's had some trouble with the play the ball, but none such today. Powell sends it downfield. And it's Cottrell. Found the ball. Finds his feet. And the Knights have to start again. We've had 3.5 minutes on Bar TV of a very long day of rugby league, as the Knights bring it away. They worked to the open side, or at least they tried to, and Broadley got hold of him. The 5'8's Duffin, and he found a big front rower. It looks like it might be Dwyer. And they'll work to the left. Ridley. And the crowd liked that run. Now here's Kuru with a little run. Taylor with the kick. And it'll be Jack Granger to go back and retrieve. And this is a bit of a wrestle early on here. Both these sides with plenty of spark in attack, but they haven't quite been able to find the consistency so far this season. They've shown plenty. They've had their moments. But it's always been the last pass for both these teams as Edginton runs forward. He's in the 13 today, playing at lock, but I don't think it'll change his approach too much. Now Guest. And look at the leg drive. They know this is their chance today, the Roosters. The central coast. Oh, there's a penalty against the ball here. Oh no, there's not. It's going back to the Roosters. I thought he was pointing it the other way. The Central Coast have never won in the Andrew Johns Cup after 6 games. They lost all of them last year. They've lost their first 2 this year. This is an opportunity, and this opportunity's been spurned. It was batted back. The Knights are going to get the ball. The field position was on there. And that's a bit of a mistake by the Roosters. Now here's Jones for the Knights. Ridley likes that step at the line, you can tell already. Glover finding Dwyer. Kuru's at dummy half. Now Duffin. This is not a bad kick, and it's Fitzhenry down the wing. He had a play at it. But it was a tricky one to get a hold on. And the Roosters survive again. There's been a couple of close run things for the Roosters early on here. As I say, both sides have had their troubles with defence. And the Knights showing a bit of enterprise early on. So it's Clapham who fed that scrum, and Elwyn who gets the first run. He doesn't look big enough to be a second rower, but he does a good job out there. Now Newland's a dummy half. And this is Shaw, and they got hold of him that time. They know he's the main outlet for this Roosters forward pack, and they've sent him that time. This is Broadley. Scored a very good try last week, Cade Broadley. Corcoran has guessed. Getting into the tackles, the Knights. There's plenty of enthusiasm on both sides of the field here. As it's Clapham who sends this kick down. Fitzhenry will retrieve it, and he'll run at a broken line here. And in the end, the Roosters get enough into position. Kuru finds Cottrell. Back's got to be involved. This is the other winger getting involved. It's Cruz Cook. It's still Cook. And that was a really good carry. Now, there might be an injury here. The referee blew it up very quickly. The trainers have scuttled out onto the field. And he looks in a little bit of trouble, Cruz Cook, after a very bright run. We might have a stoppage here. But it looks like an even contest so far. Both sides running hard, tackling hard. Of course, last season when they met, the Newcastle Knights in the first edition of this competition got the points. 38-18 over the Roosters. And that was about to be expected because they came first in the Northern Pool and ended up getting through to the semi-finals. But it's much tougher for them this year, it seems. Now, Cruz Cook has left the field. And we're about to get underway again. Hope you're enjoying it so far, wherever you're tuning in. Off we go again. And that's the 8. That's Taj Ridley. He's been very keen early on. It's about his 4th run in the first 8 minutes. Duffin. Cottrell. This is Thomas. This is Fitzhenry. He's got space to move. And that's a really good tackle over there. Did he put his arm on the touchline? The linesman didn't think so. And the ball's come away. Well, Fitzhenry saw the open space. Thought he might have had an opportunity. They got numbers across and dealt with him, and then the ball's come loose. So, again, the Roosters getting away with a little opening. But I think Damien Lawler would be fairly keen for them to get up the other end of the field at this stage, because they can't spend their whole morning defending opportunities like that. Look at Edginton. Carting it up hard and getting met hard and driven back. He might go into the in-goal here, Edginton. He's not far away, I can tell you. And in the end, the referee applies the mercy rule. Come back and play it. But there was a bit of sting in that from the Knights. It was Kane Thomas, the centre, and Jordan Jones, the second rower. Now they're up on Shaw. They've had about a gutful of his hard carries. This is a lift from the Knights. Let's see what they do to Guest. Up onto him again. There's 3 and 4 in the tackle. They mean this. They've had a couple of dustings, this Newcastle side. Edginton keen again. And the hair swishes through the sky. This has been a good set from the Knights. Here's Powell. Elwyn, really good ball. Breaks the pressure a little bit. They're up to the 40, the Roosters. But this is last. Powell with work to do. Did it well. But it's a gentle catch for Cottrell. And the Knights can set up camp here as Cottrell goes weaving. And the Knights start the set really in the Roosters' territory. They're winning the battle so far after 10 minutes. Thomas. Still Thomas. They've got options either way here. They go to the front rower. Ridley. The play the ball is quick, and that can give them a bit of momentum. This is Schultz-Relf. It's still Cody Schultz-Relf. And he's not far away at all. They're a couple of metres short with options both ways again. Taylor. It's off legs. It could be anyone's. It's the Roosters. And I think it's Josh Shaw who fell on the ball over there. A front rower. Falling on the ball when it was loose on the deck. That's the sort of thing that really pleases a coach. He's nearly twice the size of anyone else out there. But again, the Roosters find themselves coming off their line. And it's Dorrit Maven forced to take a run. The play the balls are a bit slow as well. That's Martin. And the clearing kick is required again, this time from Clapham. And look at where Cottrell takes it. Straight into them. And 35 metres from the posts. You feel the Knights have the chance here. This is Kuru on a little run. Look at him go. It's Kuru still. If he gets away from the fullback, he'll be under the posts. He gets away, but another man comes across in cover. That was a really good run by Takarai Kuru. Now it's over the top. Now it's Taylor. Surely over there on the wing. They're going to go in, the Knights. They're going to go in. And it's been building and building. And finally the pressure was too much for the Roosters, who've been getting further and further away from the try line. And it's well-deserved first points for the Knights after 12 minutes. It's 4 points to 0. And well, it had been coming. The Roosters are going to have to sort themselves out. As I say, one of these two teams has to get their first points today. And the Knights look most likely so far. And the kick is a difficult one. Let's see what he can do here. As the sounds of Bruno Mars filter around the ground. I must say, it's a tremendous facility here. This grandstand is quite modern. And just slowly filling up early this morning. That's Josh Shaw coming from the field after his first stint. Let's see what they can do here. It looks like Dylan Duffin is going to have a crack from almost touch. Doesn't look too bad, you know, but it's just to the left. It wasn't a bad connection. So Nathan Roberts' try separates the teams after 13 minutes on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell with you for this round 3 game, and it really is more or less a death match here between the Knights and the Roosters. So Granger's going to stick this on the tee and send it down into Newcastle territory, and really that's where the ball needs to go for the Roosters, because they've been stuck. They're spinning their wheels on their own line. Here they come, the Knights again. And it's a big carry off the kickoff. It's a beauty. Bo Dwyer. Now Kuru has looked lively. That's a nice ball to Ridley. And they're almost up to halfway in 2 plays. They're rolling them a little bit here at the moment. Duffin. Short to another headgear, and Cullen. Very well protected skulls out there in this Newcastle side. Now Kuru again looking for a bit of an angle. And they pile on him. But this is too much ground. Thomas. Duffin. Ridley. Still Ridley. 75 metres in 5 tackles. Let's see if there's an exclamation mark at the end of it. Taylor to the sky. Those kick chasers look offside over there. Newland still has a tough task. Does it well. Does it really well. And stays in the field of play. That's nice work by the Roosters winger / fullback. They did a bit of job share last week, those two. 1 minute Newlands was at fullback, the next minute it was Granger as the ball comes out here for Dorrit Maven. Well, to state the absolutely bleeding obvious, they did not need that at all. And the Knights have really set up camp in the Roosters 20 metres, and they can start again. It'll be Duffin to feed the scrum. Sorry, no, it won't. It'll be Taylor to feed the scrum. And Duffin at first receiver. And he's got Cottrell. And Cottrell's got a bit of a step. And he looks a bit elusive, Aaron Cottrell. And they're going to eventually slam him to ground. As they look to the right with Duffin again. The short ball's not bad, you know. He's going to twist and try and get there. He's going to do better than try. He's going to get there. Riley Cullen gets himself to ground. And the Knights in not very long have got an 8-point lead. And the Roosters, well, they've barely seen the ball in 16 minutes. And when they have seen it, it's been in the shadow of their own posts. And for the second time today, they can attempt the kick. It's Kane Thomas who's got it lined up. But that was very, very nice work indeed. Dylan Duffin promoting the ball, using big bodies close to the line with momentum. It's a simple game, rugby league. It's a very unusual style Kane Thomas has got a stepping over the ball there. But he hit the first one not too bad. See what he can do. That doesn't look too bad at all. It's over. It's 10-0. The Knights have jumped out to a lead. And they've already scored as many points in this first 18 minutes at Maitland Sports Ground as they've scored in either of their 2 games so far this year. And the red light's blinking for the Roosters early on. So Granger gets them going again. I reckon a mistake would be fairly handy here for the Roosters as Ridley comes forward with plenty of gusto. And they'll send another forward at them. This is Schultz-Relf, and he's away. Schultz-Relf over halfway. There's a big chase. It's Granger coming across. Schultz-Relf fends him off. He's still going Schultz-Relf. Surely not in the corner. He's gone all the way. He's gone all the way and the ball has come out. The ball's gone over the line. Well, that'll do me. The referee's going to award this Cody Schultz-Relf from a million miles away. Well, he's gone 70 metres at least off a regulation hit-up. And it was like the under-7s. Nobody could get near him. He crashes over in the corner from a hit-up that started on the right-hand side. Goodness gracious me. 14-0 to the Knights with a bullet. And what do you say about a run like that? Well, when you've got front rowers taking the ball 70 metres, you know you're having a rough day. And the poor old Central Coast Roosters need to steady themselves here, because the Knights have gone try in the space of about 5 minutes. And yet again, Kane Thomas can line this up and try and extend the lead. That doesn't look too bad at all, but it's to the left. I've got to stop saying that. I've put the jinx on them twice now. So Cody Schultz-Relf's cracker of a try has extended the lead here. It's 14-0. And well, it is all going their way so far. These games can disappear very quickly. Look at this intensity here from Taj Ridley. Bang, into him he goes. And he's made a break. This is white line fever for the Knights. Every runner seems to be looking for the try line, no matter where they take the ball. Glover. Every one of them thinks they can score. It's Dwyer, in fact, who took that run. Schultz-Relf found Taylor, who found Jones, who found a willing shoulder from Dorrit Maven. That play the ball's not too good. And finally the Roosters get some relief from this bombardment. Finally they get a chance, of all things, off a dodgy play the ball. And Fletcher Powell, for the first time in quite a while, can try and find touch and give the Roosters a chance inside the Newcastle end of the field. Corcoran can take the tap and start something maybe. Dorrit Maven with the first chance. It would do them the world of good at 14-0 down. Shearman, another big body. Corcoran gets it back from Shearman. Corcoran will have a snip at the line himself, you'd reckon. And the big front rower will deputise at dummy half. This is Schmidt. Still Schmidt. And he's held up over the line. He'll have to go back. They need to find some attack here, the Roosters. Corcoran, Clapham, Powell, Granger. He's got Dorrit Maven. He's also got Newlands. Newlands has got to go past a couple. Dorrit Maven. Now it's Granger. The Knights won't break just yet. Corcoran will go to the open to Shearman. He's a big body close to the line. They've got hold of him though. It took a committee. Now Clapham. It's a little bit disorganised, but that's not a bad ball, and it could have been a try at either end of the field. It could have been at either end. Fitzhenry liked the look of it. And if he'd caught it cleanly, he might have been on his way. That was everything or nothing for the Roosters. And in the end, they'll get another chance. So Corcoran finds Powell, finds Elwyn. And he looks for an offload and gets away with it just barely as Granger falls on it. And they're going to get a penalty here, the Roosters, for a high shot. So they're getting an opportunity. Powell again goes quickly to Elwyn. And that's a good carry from Elwyn. A bit of intensity. Corcoran. And that's Henry on the field. Shearman was the decoy. Powell broadly met strongly. Schmidt's aiming up. Corcoran goes himself. I think it's the captain who's got himself over. How they needed that. They've been under nothing but pressure in the first 20 minutes of this game. And with their first opportunity up the Knights' end of the field, they do get some points. And maybe they can start to turn the balance of this thing now. It's the captain who does it for them, Cooper Corcoran. Everyone was looking left, including me. And Corcoran had a better idea. $14 points to 4 with 5.5 to go. And Jack Granger will have the opportunity to snip the gap down to 8. These games go very quickly in this competition with the 30-minute halves. It can be over before you know it. And if a team racks up some points, You don't have time to respond. The Knights let in a couple up the middle last week from dummy half runs and short balls to forwards. Maybe Cooper Corcoran watch the highlights. Let's see what Jack Granger can do here from in front. I won't say anything about his prospects. Yeah, well done. 14 points to 6. No mistake to be made from in front. And the Roosters have got 4.5 minutes until half time to maybe try and find something else. But they have at least stopped the assault, because for a few minutes there it was just Knights, Knights, Knights. Off we go again. And that's Bo Newlands with the run. And he was met very strongly by Schultz-Relf. Now Shearman. Big unit. They have got some size in this team, the Roosters. Here's another one. This is Henry. He thought about a pass, thought better of it. And now he's trying to sneak a few metres after the tackle. The referee's having none of that. Now Shearman again, promoting the ball. Wasn't the most comfortable pass you'll ever see. The result's okay enough. It's Schultz. Now Corcoran looking for another run, the captain. They'll have a deputy at dummy half. They'll have Clapham at first receiver. A penalty on last tackle is quite the elixir for the Roosters. Offside, down the blind side. Gutsy call from the referee, giving one on last. And with 3 minutes to go, they have an opportunity here to really change the balance. What have they got? For the moment, they've got Broadley. And he's really roughhoused there by Cullen. Corcoran finds Shearman. That's a good carry from Shearman. Plenty of intent in that. Look at the subcommittee coming to get him to ground. There's 4 of them in there. Corcoran. Powell. It's all moving quickly over here. This could be a try in the corner for Newlands. Well, how things can change. They were shot to pieces 5 minutes ago, the Roosters. And a couple of penalties and a couple of looks at the line, and they have found themselves some points. They've got the gap down to 4. And if Jack Granger kicks straight, it could be as few as 2. Well, well, well. $14 points to 10. The Roosters showing a bit of ticker here. They've had no shortage of effort in their first 2 games. But it's coming together for them when they get a look at the Knights line. And that was simple, working the numbers, moving the ball quickly. And it opened up on the right wing. Now Granger. Feels like an important kick, this. Because there won't be much more in the half. Well, it's fair to say he didn't quite connect there. Or didn't quite connect as he would have liked. There's a minute left. And it's ticking away very quickly. So the Roosters are going to get one last use of the ball. And they'll almost be entitled to feel pretty proud of themselves as they go in at half-time. 14 points to 10. Having been absolutely swamped for most of that half. And look at this bit of enthusiasm here from Tamana Henry. Bang, bang, up to the 20 straight away. I don't think they'll do anything too clever with these last couple of tackles. That was Shearman, who's been good since he came on. Now Schultz. Met very strongly. Powell. There was a chance there. It looked like just for a second they were going to try something. They thought better of it, and that might be the last tackle of the half as the Hooters about to go. And it is the last tackle of the half as the referee calls a halt to what has been a swinging and entertaining first half. The Knights got out to a 14-10 lead with 3 tries on the trot, but the Roosters, getting a look towards the end of the first half, got a couple of tries, got themselves back into it. It's 14 points to 10. The Knights lead it at half-time, and anything could happen in this second half. One of these sides is going to have to get their first points of the season. Remember, neither of them have won so far, but we're not any closer, really, to knowing which side's going to change it. We'll be back in a few minutes on Bar TV for the second half in the Andrew Johns Cup. Well, it's the sound of the potbellies bringing us back in to the second half here at Maitland Sports Ground. Very good to have you along on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell with you for both games from the Country Championships this morning, I should say. The Andrew Johns Cup is going on at the moment. We've got the Laurie Daley Cup coming up after that. There's no reason to go anywhere until noon at the latest on Bar TV. We've got a very good match in prospect here too. This is really, semi-finals come very, very early. If either side loses today, you'd have to think it's their season done. The side who wins, well, they've still got a bit of hope of making that top two, depending on how results go around the state as all these games are going on. But we're away again in the second half, and it's the Knights who are going to get use of the ball. They're in the red and blue, the Roosters in the predominantly white. The Knights running from right to left on your laptop or phone or iPad or wherever you're watching this game. Maybe you've got a smart TV when you're picking up the coverage this morning. But it's a very nice day here. We've got, I must say I'm surprised there's quite a lot of people in the grandstand taking this fixture in, and it's the Knights bringing it forward. Now the 20, he's a bit of a mystery man. I don't know who he is, but that was a good run. We didn't have a 20 in the team list that was circulated through the week. But that's a very stern carry that he's just made, and now they're going to get a penalty on the back of it as they made that run through the middle. So this is a bright start by the Knights, who came into this game, came into the second half feeling pretty sore after a couple of tries snipped away their lead. Well, they're probably feeling okay now. So it's a tap and go. And this would be shockingly demoralising for the Roosters to let one in here as Thomas makes a run. Kuru's at dummy half. Duffin found Taylor, found Jones. And they're set up to the short side here. They go to the open instead. That's the mystery man in 20. He's found his way over too. Well, he's looked likely since he came on. And he's barged over next to the posts. And the Knights, having given away their lead in the last minutes of that first half, have got it back. 18 points to 10. I'll try and find out who this number 20 is, because I dare say I'm going to be calling him a few times if he's running like that. And that's just the start they needed. The momentum has shifted again. And it's Thomas who's not wasting any time about this. He's going to launch right into them again. With the kick. Now, let's see if I'm just going to, while he's taking this kick, I'm going to try and work out who this number 20 is. Oh, okay, Addison Peel. Addison Peel it is who scored. I didn't have him, he wasn't listed on the website, but I've just got the team sheet. So I'm going to write that name down because, as I say, I reckon I'll be calling him a little bit today. Addison Peel, number 20 for the Newcastle Knights. And he's a Cessnock boy as well, so more power to him. Through an offload to get them racing up the field to get the penalty, and then bashed over on the inside of the posts. Well, that's going out on the full. This is all a very lowbrow start to the second half by the Roosters. Dear, oh dear. Well, they've given away a penalty, given away a try, and now kicked it out into touch on the full. It's the sort of thing that causes great headaches to the coach. Almost as quickly as the Roosters have restored themselves to the game, the Knights are reasserting their superiority. Here's Glover. They're going to go a big sweep to the right here. It's a new man on the field. It's Fisher, but the referee's called this up for a forward pass. And that'll give great relief to the Roosters players. After 5 minutes of this half, they're finally going to get used to the ball. And Max Hong is onto the field in number 7, is going to feed this scrum. And it's come away straight away, and they're on the counter-attack here, the Knights. That's Glover. It's still Glover. He's still going, the big fella. They're a team full of headbands, this Newcastle side, and that was one of them. Here's another at dummy half. Now it's Schultz-Relf. We know what he can do. What an opportunity this is. The Roosters have had one play, turned it over, and that's their only use of the ball this half. There's Thomas with a run. He's got plenty of space, Kane Thomas. He's got plenty of space and plenty of speed. And the Knights, having scored 3 quick tries, let in 2 quick tries, have now scored another 2 quick tries, and they find themselves back 14 points in front, and with a kick to extend it even further. This has been a game of great swings. And that was another one. The Roosters, 1 tackle in possession in the first 6 minutes of the second half. Yeah, you don't win much without the ball. And Thomas, having scored the try, now has the opportunity to convert it. He steps over the ball and then walks back behind it. I don't think I've ever seen a goal kicker do that before. He's 2 from 4 so far today. And now he's 3 from 5. What a good strike that was. 26-10. It's the biggest lead they've had. And the Roosters must be wondering what the hell's happened. Having been so full of hope at half-time. So we start again in the Andrew Johns Cup, and there's another break straight away from the Knights. This Roosters defence looking a bit rickety whenever there's a particularly stinging run. And look at that, that's the 40, that red line. They're making great ground. That's Cottrell. Decision for the referee here, and he says knock on, so the Roosters will get a look at Newcastle territory for the first time in the half. They'll form up for a scrum right in front of me here in the commentary position. We are bang on the halfway line. It's beautiful. At one stage, just before the game kicked off this morning, then when the sun was coming through, we've got the glass window of the media box here, and I thought for a second I was going to have a big red sunburn right in the middle of my head because the sun was just poking right through, but it's disappeared above the grandstand roof now, and we're in perfect comfort. And that's Ben Schmidt. He's not in too much comfort. He got rolled backwards there. Now it's Shearman carting it up with a bit of vigour, and they are in Newcastle territory now. When they've been down there, they've had success. This is Henry. Corcoran assessing the options. Picking Clapham, who seemed to be playing as a halfback in the first half. He's running like a forward now. Hong. There was a decoy. It went to Martin. He wasn't really able to wind up there, Jake Martin. Hong. Didn't have much time to kick. It's spewed forth, though. It's an opportunity here for Clapham if he can get it away, but I don't think he can. They've bottled him up. Sometimes a kick that's not overly good can be very dangerous. That was the case there. Max Hong, he didn't have much time to think about it, and he rather shanked it off the side of the boot. But for just a moment, it caused a bit of doubt. Now this is Schultz-Relf running on the fringe. It's Schultz-Relf still. He's shrugging them away. And they've held him on too long. Well, that's understandable. That takes him so long to tackle him. You want to make the most of it. He's a bit wound up, the young fella. Scored what will probably be the try of the day in the first half. And the Knights are on the march again. Now 14's on the field, that's Will Regan. I reckon he's got a good claim to be the smallest bloke out there. It'll be either him or Max Hong. As there's Addison Reed. I'm glad I know his name now. Now Regan. And it's turned over. It is Max Hong who falls on the ball over there. As they passed it sideways and didn't look too much forwards. Now Drew James gets a touch. I don't think he's had one so far today. He's a bit unloved out there, Drew James. Hasn't had too much of a look at the game. Now this is Newlands. And another opportunity for the Roosters. Tamana Henry. Still going Henry. And a bit of strength there. Oh, and he held onto it as well. Powell. Flat to Shearman, who got past one and then got ropped up. Corcoran has Powell. Powell has a kick. It's screwing towards the touchline. It's a bit awkward there for Roberts, but he got hold of it. And the Knights, well and truly in control again here. They've reasserted themselves. That might be Fitzhenry on a scurry. And that's a good carry as well. That's Glover. Now Regan. Regan on a little run. He's scurried up the middle of them and taken some ground off them. And he might have fumbled it in there though. He undid his good work. He undid his good work. Because they were poised to have another strike there, the Knights. And the Roosters escape. On reflection, there were danger signs for them. They dodged a couple early on. And they've dodged a couple so far in this second half. Of course, if you want to contribute to the broadcast this morning, send us you can tweet at us at CountryRL or at Bar TV Sports. You can get in touch on the Country Rugby League Facebook page where we're streaming all the games. You can see them all on there all day from both the Northern Pool and the Southern Pool, from both the Johns Cup and the Daley Cup. As Tamana Henry takes it forward. And by all means, send in a comment what you're thinking about the game. There's a lot of people on the on this one saying come on the Knights. So Roosters fans, Central Coast types, you might have to make yourself known on that CRL Facebook page. You're getting a bit outnumbered as this kick goes downfield. And it's looking a bit awkward. This could bounce either way. In the end, it's friendly for Cottrell, who thinks about a little run as well. And the game, really for the first time in quite a while, has just calmed down. It seemed to be try after try there. One side would have all the running, then the other. This is about the longest we've gone without a score. Oh, and it's turned over there as soon as I say that by the number 8 there, Taj Ridley. And the Roosters will have a chance to score. Here's Corcoran. Finds Edginton back on the field and still running hard. He's copped some body blows, Edginton. He's kept going. Now there's a penalty. And they'll have a full set. And it'll be Corcoran to take it. And it pretty much has to happen now if it is to happen. They've shown they can score quickly once they start scoring, the Roosters. So all hope is not lost. Here's Hong. Looking for Newlands back on the inside. It's not a bad little play. He's not far away, but he's not quite there. They're deep on the right. Powell with a bit of stutter. He throws the big arc over the top, and the Knights retrieve possession with Roberts. And now they'll get a penalty. And there's the momentum of rugby league. Powell going for the big harbour bridge, hoping to find Drew James or Jack Granger. And in the end, he found someone in red and blue. As the kick goes onto the roof. Well, there you go. There's our first ball on the roof for the day. I dare say there'll be a few more. And they start again with Ridley, who dropped it last time, and this time he's been driven back. So they've obviously eyed him off as someone who was causing some damage. Now here's Regan again. He looks lively at a dummy half. He's not real big. He's got a bit of a step and a little turn of pace. Ridley at dummy half. I love seeing props at dummy half. And Taylor's gone straight through. Now there's a chance they could put them to bed here, the Knights. It's Taylor. And he's still going Taylor. The referee might go back and say play the ball. He did. But it's still on. Duffin threw it wide. The 17 is Fisher. This is endgame for the Roosters if they let one in here. Duffin. Still Duffin. There's a big fella running onto it. It's Cullen, who's already got one today. Now Duffin again. Long ball out to the wing. They're in again. They're in again. And that might snuff the Roosters out. It looks like the Knights might get their first winner this season in the Andrew Johns Cup. And it was all off a couple of big runs from some forwards and then a scything run by the halfback Cooper Taylor. And you would have to say on the balance of the play that they more or less deserve to be 30 points to 10 in front. If they do win today, the Knights, it'll get them up to 2 points. They'll jump ahead of Parramatta, who have to play the Greater Northern Region today. And it'll get them only one behind North Coast, who have to play the league leaders Northern Rivers. So there is still a little path to the finals for the Knights if they go on with this. It's not all over yet just because they lost the first two. And here's a kick from touch again. They keep scoring out wide, the Knights. That's making life very unpleasant for the goal kicker. It's Kane Thomas. He's got another one from the touchline. Let's see what he can do. 3 from 5 becomes 3 from 6. And that was a toughie. He's had some difficult assignments today, Kane Thomas. He's been hitting them well. They've just given him a bit too much to do a few times. So 30 points to 10 with 12 minutes to go on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell bringing you both games this morning from the Country Rugby League. We've got the Laurie Daley Cup starting in about half an hour, so don't go anywhere, because we've got plenty more rugby league to come. As the ball comes out, the Roosters are going to get a look here with Edgerton, and he's going to go straight at them. Well, they find themselves 4 scores behind, but Josh Shaw's back on the field and running strongly. Now Guest, now Hong. Newlands has turned it over, and Cottrell can come away. And that might have been the last swing for the Chooks as the Knights advance through Thomas. As I said, there's certainly some hair in this Knights side. There's about 4 who've got it taped up, and wrapped back. Now Regan. This is a bit shorter and he's going to go for himself here. He's chipped this in behind. Wouldn't this be a little effort by Regan? It's fallen on by Newlands, who had good awareness. Although the enterprise from Will Regan was very good. And now Newlands has done himself an injury. And it's all going to slow up. You might see it in the background of your screen there. The Newcastle Knights under-18s for the Laurie Daley Cup are making their way out to warm up because they're not too far away from being called into action. A little bit more casual than the Central Coast. They've been warming up for some time. Of course, there's plenty to play for these boys, both the under-16s and the under-18s, because there's going to be rep sides selected for Country New South Wales from both of these competitions, and the big prize for those players is a trip to England at the end of the season with the CRL representative teams. So that's a big carrot to anyone involved in both these competitions, and it's a first for the CRL. It's the first time they've done that, as there's a knock on here, and the Knights are going to get a chance to add to this score. If they are going to make a crack at the finals, they need to improve their for and against. There's an opportunity to do that here. And the scrum packs down. Let's see what they can conjure here. With 10 minutes exactly left on the clock. It's Regan down the short side. Now it's Thomas, who got it from Duffin. And he's wrestled backwards. The play the ball's very slow. Duffin. Now there's a chance for the big front rower, Ridley. He got it from Taylor, and Taylor's looming on the left-hand side again. But it's going to be Regan himself with a bit of pace and a bit of a step. He's been looking to do that for a little while. And he gets across to extend the lead. And they're enjoying themselves now, the Knights. For the first time this year, they've had a proper opportunity to attack. And they're showing what they've got. And it's Will Regan who gets the 7th try. And that little bit of resistance that the Roosters showed approaching half-time hasn't translated to the second half. The Knights have been on it from pretty much the kickoff. They got a penalty in the first set. They scored pretty much straight after. And then the Roosters went down to kick off and sent it into touch on the full. And there's not really much coming back from that. And this one's a bit easier for Kane Thomas. I reckon he'll fancy this. I shouldn't say that. I probably jinxed him now, but he's 3 from 6 for the day. He'll get himself back above 50% here. It's there, and it's a very nice kick. Now, if you're in the Maitland area, you can get yourself down here. I think it's about $10 to get in, and there's football all day. I'd suggest there's never been a greater concentration of rugby league in any one place. Started at 9 o'clock this morning, and we're here till about 8 o'clock tonight. And as far as the CRL goes, well, there's games happening all over the place. Illawarra have just kicked off against Western Division down at Fig Tree. The Tigers are playing Penrith at Campbelltown at 10:30. And there's plenty more happening besides that. Northern Rivers and the North Coast, Greater Northern Region and Parramatta, Monero and Riverina. And there's a penalty against the ball here. I think you might say dodgy play the ball. They've been on that in this competition, the referees. Of course, in the southern pool, It's the Western Rams who have got the ascendancy there on 4 points. Monero on 3. Penrith and Riverina on 2. Illawarra 1. And the West Tigers on 0. So that's all going to go into who ends up meeting these Northern Pool sides in the finals later on in about 3 weeks' time as he's guessed. And Powell, the Roosters with a chance to attack here. Newlands, Dorrit Maven heading for the line. Held up, held up, held up. They got numbers across, and that'll be pleasing for Joel Penny, the Knights coach, to see the Knights team 26 points in front, still finding the time to get across in numbers. Still showing that bit of effort. Now Elwyn. Corcoran will have another go. A double in a losing side would show his teammates something. He'd be very smug through the week after that. It's not to be just yet. Elwyn looking for Shaw. And they got up and jammed him. Now Elwyn. And there was no dummy half there, or was there? Now, it's a difficult call for the referee. Elwyn was a fair way behind the play, but I think he was probably entitled to say he was dummy half. Newcastle player, understandably, seeing a loose ball and diving on it, as you're taught to do. I think the referee probably just about got it right, as he's Shaw again. And they're up and driving him back, and then driving him sideways, and driving him everywhere but the line. And they did it well. Now Corcoran. Powell. Hong. This is Martin. And they ran that backline play and ended up behind where they started. Newlands will find Hong. Edginton, who's still willing. That hair whooshing around. Very easy to pick out for a commentator. Corcoran has Powell. Powell has Guest. And Guest will find no accommodation in that Newcastle defensive line. It's a forward pass after all of it. And the Knights have defended their line 36-10 in front and still turning up in big numbers to repel any attack. And that will be very pleasing indeed. And now they've got an opportunity with 4 minutes left. Maybe try and find one more try. They're going to go wide and try it on. Short side's available. They've had willing runners all day here. This is one of them. Taj Ridley has been very good. Now he's twisted around. The referee won't like that. Doesn't blow a penalty. Taylor down the short side. And that's very good half-back play. With the big lead, just steering it towards touch. In fact, it might be a 40-20. It is a 40-20 from Cooper Taylor. Well, I said it was good half-back play. I didn't quite realise how good. From just inside the 40, he launched it down that touchline. And the Knights will get a chance to attack. That's the 16, Aidan Shepherd. Hasn't had too much to do today. He looked for an offload there. Thought better. Regan at dummy half. Still Regan. He doesn't mind himself from dummy half, Will Regan, and he's just about got himself to the line. Might have been the post pad more than anything in the way. Out the back to Taylor, who's been very good today, and he's been very good there because it's off again on the left. It's still there in the corner. And Nathan Roberts gets another try. He started it all on the left-hand side up the other end of the field. And he scored what will probably be the last try as well. And they're out to 40. They've flipped the result from last week. And that was nice work out on the left. Cooper Taylor, who's been involved in most of it for the Knights today. Swung it left. And even though it hit the deck, they had so much space, they still got over the line. 2 minutes left here in the Johns Cup. It's been entertaining. We've seen 8 tries from the Newcastle Knights and 2 from the Roosters. And that's not bad in 60 minutes of football. 10 crosses. Kane Thomas yet again. Just to try and get this over from just inside the touchline. I doubt they'll get back on here, I reckon. There's 90 seconds left. Both sides might be happy to call it once this kick's taken care of. There he goes, walking over the ball again. And I knew he was going to do that eventually. It was always likely he'd knock the ball off the tee at some stage. Now, let's see what he can do in front of the crowd, in front of the grandstands. What every young boy dreams of. In front of a pretty decent crowd. In front of the grandstand. Here goes Thomas. It's coming around, not quite enough. But the time's ticking away. There's 50 seconds left. Well, we might get a kick-off in after all. Jack Granger's keen. He's running the ball back. 40 points to 10 now, mirroring the result they suffered last week up in Scone against the Greater Northern Region. So they've taken 30 off their for and against. That'll be pleasing. And they're still alive in this competition. As Granger sends this deep. There are 25 seconds left, and it's a good kick-off because it's gone all the way and it's gone dead. So the Knights, if they can be bothered, they're going to have to kick it out from under their own posts. But I did say if they can be bothered. There's only 10 seconds left. They're just going to faff about behind there and watch the time tick away. I reckon that'll be it. The hooter's about to go, and the hooter does go. The referee, in the end, thinks better of forcing them to drop the ball out, and that is time in the Andrew Johns Cup. And the Knights, after finishing first last year and making the semi-finals, found themselves 0-2 going into this game after a couple of hidings, and they have responded. As you expect from a good side, they've come up with a really big performance today. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead. They let a couple of tries in on half-time, but then came out after half-time and swamped them again. They ended up scoring 26 points in the second half for a very convincing and very well-deserved 40 points to 10 victory over the Roosters today. The Roosters, well, they showed some good fight in the first half after surviving some bombardment. They came back and got a couple of tries, but I think it was just a question of class in the end. The Knights just had a bit too much for them. But the Roosters kept trying all the way to the finish. They've got enough quality about them. They should get a win this year, and that would be an improvement on last season. So there's a little bit of positive for both teams, but the Knights have got to be the happier after a big win today. They go to 2 points. They're only a point off the lead. They're only 2 points off the lead with other games still to be played. And it's a very good day for them and for their coach, Joel Penny. We'll be back in a few minutes with the Laurie Daley Cup, which is not too far away at all. You can see both sides warming up over there. We'll take a short break and be back in a little bit with the Laurie Daley Cup for the Newcastle Knights and the Roosters, because in the Johns Cup, it's the Knights 40, the Central Coast Roosters 10. Welcome back to Maitland. And we've got the Laurie Daley Cup for you now on Bar TV and through the CRL. Very good to have you with us. Morgan Campbell with you for this one. As with the last one, and the Central Coast Roosters making their way out onto the field. The Knights will be with us in a moment. The Roosters got, well, quite a generous bit of applause from the Newcastle under-16 side as they made their way out the gate. Here come the Knights. We'll take you through the two teams. The Newcastle Knights look this way. Number 1, Cody Crowther. Number 2, Cohen Geelan. Number 3, Tyrone Mead. 4, Lachlan O'Brien. 5, Josh Cagney. 6, Kurt Donahue. 7, Noah Ryan. 8, Sam Robinson. 9, Romano Cook. 10, Harry Whitfield. 11, Jack Jackson. 12, Sam Smith. 13, Brock Greason. The bench, 14, Zach Miller. 15, James Johnson. 16, Jack Gunton. 17, Harvey Neville. And 18, Brock Hunt, whose name I will be saying very clearly. For the Roosters, number 1, Lachlan Fisher. 2, Logan Sipple. 3, Cody Boyle. 4, Caden Rosemeyer. 5, Harrison Packham. 6, Regan Harris. 7, Lachlan DeBellis back in the side after a week off after that nasty knock in round 1. 8, Nathan Kegg King. 9, Isaac Blackall. 10, Regan Clark. 11, Darby Elton. 12, Kyle McLean. 13, Brock Laver. 14, Clint Norris. 15, Adam Runchell. 16, Cooper Page Wilson. 17, Carnegie Callaghan. And 18, Tane Boland. The two sides are on the park, as you can see. The referee is waiting for the OK. Both these sides have had a win in round 1 and a loss in round 2 in a very, very open Laurie Daley Cup. And this is going to be a big one. Off they go. It's the Knights in red and blue, the Roosters in white, and it's the Knights with the first use of the ball. And that's a run with a bit of sting behind it to start us off this morning in the Laurie Daley Cup. These two teams on 2 points share that position with another, with the Greater Northern Region Tigers. There are 2 teams on 3 and 3 teams on 2, if that makes sense. So it's very, very open indeed, and a win today would go a long way to setting you up for a spot in the finals. The 12 there is Sam Smith with the ball, and he's heading towards the halfway. It's Cook at dummy half. Now this will be the 8, Sam Robinson, carting it up. He's a big body. They're very noticeably bigger, the 18s from the 16s. And it's heading down there towards Logan Sipple for the Roosters' first opportunity with the ball. They had a very, very impressive win as he's dragged back Sipple. He might be forced in goal, you know. He's not far away. He is going to get up and play it. But they're under pressure straight away. They had a very impressive win in round 1 over Greater Northern Region. And then they had quite a demoralising loss last week against the North Coast, who look very strong in this competition, the North Coast. Newcastle belted up Northern Rivers 34-6 in round 1 and then went up to Scone and got dusted up 18-16. They had a kick on the siren to draw the game, weren't able to do it as Darby Elton takes it up for the Roosters. They got themselves 12-0 down in that game, the Knights, got themselves back into it, and then fell over at the last hurdle with the big kick from the sideline. As here's a chance down the short side, and they're off straight away, the Knights. They're off straight away. It's tackled over there, and so the Knights into the Roosters' territory again. That's Sam Smith. Now it's Whitfield. They're setting up. This is Robinson. And he's barreled. Good tackle there. It was Regan Clark down low. They'll go to the right. This is a chance. It's the Knights again on the right-hand side, and they're taken down. Now O'Brien at dummy half on last. Noah Ryan. It's the big front rower. I don't think they meant for him to get it. Whitfield. Not a chance. And so they get away with it, the Roosters. I said that a fair bit in the first game. Now here's Sipple. They can right themselves here. And they get a penalty as well. Well, they would have been fairly keen on that, I dare say. It's a very helpful intervention from the referee. So back we come. And they will start again. And that's big defence. They mean it in this game. They know how important it is for their prospects of making the finals. There's DeBellis. Now there's a jinking run. And it's still the Roosters. And that's come loose. That has come loose. So nobody can quite make it stick so far. It's been a slightly twitchy first 5 minutes here. So the Knights get the ball back. This is Smith. Dummy half is Cook. Now this is a chance over on the wing here for Geelan. And he flings it back inside. This is Cagney. Worked over in the tackle. Now Greason. Ryan. It's still there for the Knights with O'Brien. Now Donahue. Decided to do it himself. The ball looked like it might have come loose there. Left it goes with Ryan again. The grubber is dangerous. There's a fumble. And there's a grounding. Oh, the grubber is a treacherous thing. And the Knights have fallen on the dregs. They get the first points in this one as they did in the former. And after 6 minutes, it's 4 points to 0. Well, the grubber in behind from Noah Ryan. It's a very low risk play. And it's come up for them there. Well, we're back on Bar TV, and it's the Newcastle Knights with possession, having scored the first try. I just had to make a mercy dash to the press box to get the team lists updated. Had a couple of changes from the side that was named through the week, as there's a turnover here for the Knights, and the Roosters will get an opportunity. So the Roosters can set up here and have a crack at them, try and get back level. Off they go with Elton. And they'll go to this big open side with Harris and McLean. Blackall's at dummy half. He's got Harris, the big 5'8". The big 5'8's got the winger. That's Packham, who's good at finding the line. The other winger's at dummy half. Sipple. Harris. And that's a big tackle as they move it to the right with Keg King. It's still alive for the Roosters. Options both ways. They're deep to the right, they're flat to the left. It's Harris. It's a chance here for McLean. He's not far away, McLean. And this is last. Short side. Oh, it's touched and into touch. Well, for just a moment, it looked like it might be on the bullet pass, but they're going to get it back to Roosters. It looked dangerous for just a moment. Logan Sipple might just have seen the line opening up. Oh, DeBellis. Oh, dearie, dearie. Well, it can happen to anyone. Yeah, we've got an update on the team lists. Riley Stevenson is in number 21. So that'll be very helpful knowledge. For the Newcastle Knights, the winger on the near side here is Mantle Kuru. And for the Roosters, Bowen Forshu in number 20 is also added to the team list. Just want to get that cleared up, make sure we're giving you the right information here. We don't want to give Country Rugby League or Bar TV a bad name. As the Knights come back with the ball. And we've had 10 minutes exactly here. It's 4-0. Newcastle lead it. But it's been a pretty even contest so far and plenty of physicality like that so far in the game. Now Robinson promoting the ball. Forwards passing it. Now Ryan's kick's heading towards touch, but it's going to pitch. And that is Stevenson back there. With a pretty good looking line to run back at. The Knights got numbers there and stopped it dead. Any threat of a counter attack. Now Harris. They'll send Sipple at them. And Elton's willing on the other side. Always keen for work, Darby Elton. Keg King was cut out. They went the open and the short side. They're making their way up the field well enough here. Elton passing to Keg King. Keg King's bumped. They keep it going though. It's good play from the Roosters. This is Clark. And they're just a tickle inside the Newcastle half. Harris. It's all very mature, sensible football so far. Oh, and as I say that, there's a moment there for Kuru. But he got it back. And the Knights can start again. We've got a wrestle on here. It might be Donahue running it forward. It wasn't, in fact, it was Cagney. Now they'll work to Robinson again, who's been very involved. And that was a forward pass, so they just got their angles wrong there, the Knights. And now there's a little bit of stink. A bit early in the day for any of this. A bit early for any of this, gents. So they'll come back. The Roosters with another opportunity in a game that's got a bit of feeling in it early on. Harris finds Stevenson. They're going to go for the scrum play, and Stevenson thought for a second he was past Noah Ryan. He thought wrong. He's had some moments in this competition already, Riley Stevenson. Here's the run from Blackhall. It's a bump on McLean, but he's still going. Slammed to the ground in the end. Blackhall's at dummy half, finds Keg King. He loves a pass. That wasn't a bad one, but in the end, the angles weren't quite right again, and Regan Clark got bumped as he took it. He might have had a little squiz at the defensive line there as he got that pass. And the Knights get a reprieve again. This is a tussle early on. And you get the sense that the team that gets their attacking plays together might be the one who ends up with the points. So we're seeing all the teams arriving today. We've got a lot of football on at Maitland today. As I mentioned in the Johns call, there's a penalty to the Knights. I see a few of the Knights Tasha Gale Cup players turning up just in front of me here in the grandstand. There's football at Maitland Sports Ground until about 8 o'clock tonight. Now this is an opportunity for the Knights. And it's Jack Jackson who takes it forward, I think. And that's knocked forward. That'll be a penalty, in fact, if anything. It's certainly a forward pass. They got that badly wrong, the Knights. They got that badly wrong. As I say, the side who hangs onto the ball here and gets a bit of flow in their attack might end up finding themselves the winners. So Harris, now McLean with a bit of step. They're targeting Noah Ryan a bit out there, and he fell off that one. And another penalty. So they're just getting a little run here, the Roosters, of a little bit of field position. What they couldn't do last week, they had moments like this against the Bulldogs last week, and what they couldn't do was turn it into anything. They had a lot of shots at the line. They forced them North Coast to do a lot of defending. They just couldn't quite come up with the killer play, the set play that works, or the big run to go past someone. They kept getting repelled. They need to change that today. Blackhall's there. Now it's DeBellis. Now Elton. And they're set up on both sides. They'll go to the short side, the right to DeBellis. That's Boyle, who can be evasive, but not when he gets it that close to the line. Still got a couple of tackles in hand here, the Roosters. It'll be Elton again. He looked for the pass, decided against it. It wasn't a bad decision in the end. He wasn't too far away. Blackhall opens it up. Keg King. It might be knocked on. And even if it wasn't, it was the Knights' ball. They couldn't get it together again, the Roosters. It's been their tail the last couple of weeks, making life a bit difficult. So the Knights retain their lead. Of course, when these two teams played last year in this competition in the Laurie Daley Cup, the Knights won 72 points to 8. 72 points to 8. It shows how far the Central Coast have come in a year, that they're much more competitive in both competitions this year. They're putting up good resistance. Of course, they've got some funding from the Sydney Roosters to do some work on a facility, I think, at the entrance for training and preparation and that sort of thing. You'd imagine that's helping them out a fair bit. They've certainly been stronger this year, and I'd be very surprised if it ended up 72-8 today. Here's a little chance here for Cook, though, into the Roosters' territory. O'Brien finds Ryan. He finds the 5'8", Kurt Donahue, with a bit of running in his legs. And now there's another one with running in his legs. It's Sam Robinson, who seems to want to get the ball a couple of times a set. Now Ryan, he's got O'Brien. It's knocked down. It might be play on here, or it might have come off the shoulder. They're going to say knock on. So Regan Harris is thwarted. There'll be no loose ball runaway try just yet. We're at the quarter mark of the game. We've only seen one try. It's a proper scrap here. They are set up again, the Knights. Here they go. Here goes Neen. It's Tyrone Neen. He's got a bit of space. He throws a flick pass to no one in particular. It's play on, though. It's Geelan who ends up with the ball. Chance to put through some attacks. This is Donahue. It ends up out the back to Greason. And he's grasped. But that's the 10 you can see on your screen. You might even catch a look at the posts. Ryan. Still Ryan. That's Cagney. Cook goes short side to Smith. They held him up well enough. But they're set up for another snipe. Here's Ryan. No grubber this time. He goes flat to Greason, who was grasped well. It was a really good tackle, and he's turned the ball over. And that was admirable defence by the Roosters. The Knights had momentum there. They threw a bit at them. And the Roosters withstood a lot of it. There really is a crowd building here already. The grandstand is, well, probably about half full, if you can believe it. It is a sunny day. You'd expect people who are here to be seeking a bit of shade, but by about 5:30 tonight, this place will be chockers. There'll be people everywhere. This is Clark. And they'll get another penalty, the Roosters. They are being helped up the field a little bit here by a few penalties. And that's maybe just helping them with the fact the Knights have possibly got the better go forward. And that's a booming kick for touch by Regan Harris. Sets them on their way. What have they got? DeBellis. Laver. Ken King's looking for it. He likes to pass. Regan Harris. Now it's Stevenson. Now it's Packham. He was well taken. Harris. This is McLean. There's no great threat just yet from the Roosters. But they'll go to the open side with Blackhall. Now DeBellis. Now Stevenson. They're up on him quickly, Stevenson. He did really well to get it away. There's a chance over here for Fisher. But Fisher's taken care of. He's still going, but he won't get to the line. Now Stevenson from dummy half. Had a snip. Couldn't get there. Rosemeyer. DeBellis. Harris. The chip kick. It's going to be a contest in the air. It's taken well. It's Packham with lots to do. And Packham had a bit too much to do and has to find his way over the line. He finds his way into touch. It wasn't a bad looking play from the Roosters, but the Knights were equal to it. And the trainers rightly applaud them for it. Both sides defending well. And that's why it's only 4-0 with 13 minutes to go in the first half. So the Knights come forward. And they're driving him back. There's Greason. Donahue with a bit of step. He looks like he wants the ball in his hands. And that's come away. They're going to say knock on, not strip. And the Roosters are going to get another chance here. Another chance to use the ball. Just a reminder, there are other games going on in this competition. The Northern Rivers are playing the North Coast at Grafton today. The first game kicks off at 11:45, then another at 1:05. Greater Northern Region play Parramatta starting at 12 o'clock. The West Tigers and Penrith, that's going on now in the Johns Cup. The Daley Cup will start at 11:45. Illawarra South Coast against the Western Division. That started at 10, and there's another at 11:20. And Monero play Riverina starting at noon as King has the ball. DeBellis, now Stevenson. It's just a little bit slow and side to side. They've had quite a few changes in the spine over the last couple of weeks, the Roosters. And there are just signs of that out there. This is Callaghan. Chinigi Callaghan. Making himself unpleasant. Now Harris. with Stevenson out the back. Stevenson has Packham. He also had Sipple, but he didn't quite have the pass to find him on the chest. And that's the way it's been so far today, apart from that one grubber, which bowled Lachlan Fisher between his legs. It's just been a bit like that. A few half chances, nothing quite coming off for either side. That's Jack Jackson. I've got to be so careful not to say Josh Jackson. Now Robinson again. Look at him go. Hasn't he been involved? That might be Miller on there in 14. Now Ryan. And that's dribbling towards the touchline. And in the end, they've had to play at it. Fisher, I think he thought it was a 40-20. This could be a remarkable try. He's running towards the posts. He's going to get dragged down and slam it down. I think it's Jack Gunton who's got there. It's James Johnson, in fact, and it's going to be a penalty to the Roosters for a double movement. Well, that could have been anything. Fisher, not wanting to let in the 40, what he thought might have been a 40-20, played at the ball, flung it inside. It came off a boot, found a Newcastle hand, and it was only the double movement that saved the Roosters. What a bit of play. Well, Keg King starts us off again. McLean. A few interchange players on the field for both sides now. Blackhall finding Keg King. It was a little bit messy in the middle there. Keg King still going. The referee said play on, so he did. Gave it to Harris. It was one of those old style, big, strong 5'8". Bit of a Trent Barrett mould about him as Blackhall puts this in behind. The bounce is awkward. It might have been knocked on there. Yeah. Cagney it was, who seems to be deputising at fullback. And he just got the fumbles there as the kick lolled around. And the Roosters get a chance again. But this is a good contest. It's low scoring, but both sides having opportunities. Harris will feed the scrum. He's got DeBellis on the right. Scheming. It is DeBellis. Goes short to Elton in the end. There wasn't much scheme about it. Now it'll open up for Callaghan. It's still Callaghan. He's twisting. Blackhall finds Harris. Stevenson's out the back. McLean was flat. I think McLean would have preferred Stevenson get it because he copped 3 Newcastle players. Harris on the blind side. He's still going. It's Harris. He goes himself and scores. Well, that's what they haven't had. And in the end, it's a bit of individual quality that breaks the Knights' defence. And they square the game. Four points all. And he's done a bit of that, Regan Harris. He's looked to step and barge his way over. He's a fairly big unit to be playing 5'8". And when he's running with options either way and the option of running himself, it's a dangerous proposition for opposition defences. And with 7 minutes left of this first half, it is 4 points all, and we have got a proper game. Now he's got to convert it. He's doing it all here, Regan Harris. Started that out right and it only got further right. So that's waved away and it remains 4-all. But it's certainly not 72-8 or anything like that today. This is a contest. And we start again. And that is an absolutely launched kick. In fact, it's launched all the way over the dead ball line. I thought that looked heavy off the boot. Zach Miller it was who sent it. And the Roosters, as soon as they scored, are going to get another chance. Well, we saw one from the Central Coast in the first half, in the first game, pardon me. We've seen one from the Knights in the second. And Harris, will he punt this or will he just go straight? No, he's just going to give it to Callahan to have a go at them. Momentum of the game with the Central Coast at the moment. Here's Keg King is taken up high. That should be a penalty, I'd have thought. It's not going to be. Now it is. Yeah, the touchy must have got involved there because he did get wrapped around the face. Nathan Keg King. So Harris will punt this into touch and they're going to start from about the 10 here. Yeah, that's a mighty kick for touch. And with 5 minutes to go until half time, they won't get a better chance to claim the higher ground here. Very good surface, by the way. I'm sure you're noticing this on the coverage, that it looks fantastic. It's a credit to whoever's been doing the work for Maitland Council here as Elton takes the ball forward. What can they muster here? Blackhall at dummy half. Goes flat to Paige Wilson, gets it back. Blackhall scores! Or at least he would have done if he'd held it. He's knocked it on. Well, what an opportunity. Now the Knights are going to be allowed to tap this, and this is an opportunity because he had a couple offside and they knew it. Now the referee has a decision to make here because he allowed them to tap it and has now said, you can't tap it, you've got to go back. It was Cohen Geelan who had the idea. And now he's going to have to take a regulation hit up against the full defensive line. Well, that didn't work out too well for Cohen Geelan. .15 on the field is James Johnson. Denied a try a few minutes ago in that bizarre series of Keystone Cop moments up the other end of the field. That's a Whitfield in the 10. Still Whitfield in the 10. Good ball to Miller. And Miller's got some space to run into here. He'll be grateful the Roosters didn't score off that kick dead. Now Ryan and O'Brien. Miller's in at dummy half. Noah Ryan's got the ball. Whitfield will have another go at them. Keg King came across trying to belt him and missed. They got hold of him. Miller. Donohue's showing it. Geelan with it now. He's freshly onto the field. Now Neen. And this is last. With 2 minutes 50 to go till half time. Donohue finds a kick. It's a bit flat and it's pretty gentle in the end onto the chest of Harris. And the Roosters can come away. Through Paige Wilson, who's barreled to the ground. It's a real squabble, this one. It's a real squabble. And you wouldn't really particularly want to be on either at this stage. There's no clear winner from what we've seen in the first 33 minutes. Now there's a stoppage here for Darby Elton, who's found himself in some bother. Now the trainer's having a look. And we'll we'll all just take pause with 2 minutes 15 left on the clock. Of course, this is the Northern Division, the Northern Pool of this Laurie Daley Cup. Parramatta lead it on 3 points, with the North Coast also on 3. Newcastle, the Greater Northern Tigers and the Central Coast all on 2 points. The Northern Rivers are the only team that haven't had a win yet. So everyone's really still a chance of making those 2 semi-final places to take on the Southern Pool and potentially try and win the thing, as Harris gets the fumbles at an inopportune moment. And the Knights might fancy this. They might like this. They've got 90 seconds to try and nab the lead before half-time. Ryan will be at first receiver. This is Geelan, who seems to have come on for Cagney at fullback. It's still Geelan, he's still going. Referee said play on. They're queuing up on the left. They go that way with Ryan. Now Whitfield. He might try the offload again if he gets an arm free. He doesn't in the end. They're flat on the left. Miller back on the inside. Now Geelan. They've got forwards on the right-hand side. They go out the back to the backs. Here's Ryan. He's going to stick this on the toe. It probably wasn't the right choice because Logan Sipple's got the ball. He did really well and read it. You could see what he was thinking, Noah Ryan. But with 40 seconds left, he might have just thought about keeping the ball in the hands. They would have got a couple more chances. Stevenson goes, collected a bit high. There won't be much more in this first half, and a very good first half it's been. As Callahan's taken down. He's been a willing runner since coming on. McLean's been a willing runner the whole game. And this is last. He might be the last runner. Stevenson finds DeBellis. They won't try anything clever. He's just dinked it in behind. And Cagney will go back to get it. And he'll go to ground, and discretion's the better part of valour for the Knights. They had the right idea there. Nothing silly at the end of the half, but it's been a very good half. It's been tense and tetchy. Both sides have had good looks. Good sustained looks at the opposition's line, and both have only found one try in 35 minutes of football. Either side can make a big step towards making the finals in this competition. There is plenty to play for in the second half, and we're no clearer to working out who the winner will be. 35 minutes to go in the doubleheader this morning, and it is Newcastle 4, Central Coast 4 on Bar TV. I'll be back in a few minutes for the second half. Welcome back to Maitland Sports Ground for the final quarter of our double header this morning on Bar TV. Thanks to the Country Rugby League, we've got Newcastle and the Central Coast up against each other this morning. We saw Newcastle have a thumping 40-10 win in the Andrew Johns Cup, and we are watching a real squabble in the Laurie Daley Cup. It's 4 points all after a tense 35 minutes, and we've got 35 minutes left to settle who gets the points in a division which is absolutely open for the taking, it must be said. There is only 2 points separating first and fourth after 2 rounds of this competition. Both these teams have to travel away next week. The Central Coast have to go to Lismore, of all places, to play the Northern Rivers Titans, while the Knights have to go to Cabramatta to play Parramatta next weekend. So they're both tough away trips, which makes today's win all the more important. Now, Zach Miller's got the ball, or just about got the ball on the tee. Let's hope he puts a few fewer wheat bix on it than he did last time, where he nearly launched it into the car park, which made me very nervous for my Honda Civic. But it's just about time. The second half, what's been a very interesting game. It's a slow burn, this one. And that's what we like. Away we go again. And it's Riley Stevenson who takes it, or Lachlan DeBellis, in fact, it takes the catch, sends it to Cooper Page-Wilson, and he is met very strongly. Haven't they come out with some intent in the second half? The Newcastle Knights, they did this in the Johns Cup as well, coming out strong after half-time, but they've given away a penalty for coming out a bit too strong in the end. They're offside. So the Roosters can advance. Adam Runchell for the Roosters, who's onto the field for the Central Coast in the number 15. And they'll go to the short side here, or at least they feign to. It was such a good dummy, it fooled me, and it's Keg King in the end who gets the ball. And he's up to the 30, you can see there on that Newcastle Knights logo. Of course, the Knights playing their trial here in first grade against the Sharks later on, as here's Harris finding a good ball to McLean. They're sniping straight away, the Roosters. Harris has it again. He has Stevenson to his left. He has himself more than anything, and he goes hard again. He's a damaging runner with the ball, Regan Harris. Now it's the big fella in 17. That's Callahan. Not far away. This is last. Harris on the blind side, didn't get it. It went to DeBellis. He'll try the little chip. We saw one of these in the first half. This one's better. But it's taken really, really well over there. Taken really well by Josh Cagney. And the Knights escape from that early penalty, and they can make their way out. The Knights losers last week in Scone, 18 points to 16. It was a difficult trip to Scone for the Newcastle club. They went up and had 2 defeats against the Greater Northern Tigers, who look a real strength in both divisions this year. And then this looms as a big day. Having a lot of announcements about misplaced cars this morning. We had a Mercedes that was parked in the wrong place earlier. Now apparently a Toyota RAV4 is somewhere it shouldn't be. So obviously the traffic controllers out there are having a hard time marshalling everybody to park where they're supposed to park. As here's Stevenson. It's going to get busy here today because there's a lot of people expected for first grade. Stevenson makes his way out. Important player for this Roosters side. This is Sipple. Looked to pass, he did pass in the end, and it wasn't the best idea. And that was very, very, very low percentage. And the coach, Matthew Hunter, won't be best pleased. The Knights setting up again. Donahue. And the Knights are on here. This is Johnson, who reached out when he shouldn't have in the first half and thought he had a try. Donahue, Jackson, Miller, Ryan. Now it's on the right. They're going to go in here early, or are they? The flag's up. Flag's up. Never mind. False alarm. It was Geelan who slammed it down. I don't know what they would have said about the grounding, but he had his foot in touch. Both sides having a go early on here. That's what it was like in the first half. If you've just joined us, there were a lot of half chances, a lot of near misses, only the 2 actual tries. It's Morgan Campbell bringing it to you. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. There's plenty more going on around the place. I'll spare you the full list of games, but there's plenty happening. And the latest kickoff this afternoon is at about 1:20, so you can really park it up in front of your laptop or desktop or phone or smart TV, whatever it is, and really do a job with lots of country rugby league today. It's all on the website. You can see all of it, and it's all brought to you by Bar TV. Now Harris with another booming touch finder. He's making good ground with these as they get these penalties. And it's on again for the Roosters this time. Can they summon something? The 15 is Runchell. And he's driven back and driven around, and then he ended up back where he started. Now Paige Wilson. The underarm ball's a good one. And now it's McLean who's away on the left. It's still McLean for the Roosters. And he'll be taken down not far away. The Central Coast with a real chance here. Paige Wilson, straight and hard. Good run. 4 of them. 5 of them get there to deny him. They're very deep to the right. The winger's almost back on the 40. DeBellis looks for Stevenson and finds him. He's got Boyle. He's got another man out there. I think it's Fisher. Fisher's taken down. Stevenson came flying through the back like a projectile. Flat ball to Runchell. Runchell will try his luck. And that's last tackle. And he's lost the ball. So the Knights this time do the good defending. There's a bit of scrap. Not any of that. Kurt Donahue having a word. Being a bit clever there. Second time it's just flared up slightly. So there is a bit of feeling. Both these sides know if they go to 4 points, they're right in the hunt for the finals. Newcastle, of course, the premiers in this competition last year in the first edition of the Laurie Daley Cup. This is O'Brien. Now Jackson. And Ryan's going to kick. It's not a bad idea either. He kicked the 40-20 in the first half. Oh no, that was in the Johns Cup, don't mind me. But this is Stevenson bringing it back. Well, we're in a bit of a holding pattern, aren't we? There are very few points in this game. Both sides just having a crack at the line and not finding a way through. Central Coast, look at that hard run by Boyle. That pass looked forward and the linesman got him. That was a very good call by the touchy. I was right in line with that up here. And that was forward every day of the week. Cody Boyle doing the right thing, trying to run hard. Just got his timing wrong. Feels like this next try is fairly important in a low-scoring game. We've got 27 minutes left. Here's Donahue. Donahue slices straight through. They might get the next try straight away. He's been threatening Kurt Donahue. He's not threatening anymore. He's put one right up the guts of the Roosters' defence. And that was just a bit of class. Both 5/8s have got a try now. a little bit of individual quality. And he carved them open. And the Knights have the lead again. So important. And O'Brien can have a look at this. It's there. It's a good kick. So it's a 6-point lead for the Knights with 25 minutes to go. On a very nice day, it must be said. There's a bit of cloud about, but it's not doing any harm. This is perfectly lovely weather, especially for rugby league. It's not too hot for these games early in the season. Now, that's an awkward kick taken really well by Kuru. And straight at them goes Sam Robinson. Now Whitfield, it's that double assault from the front rowers. The jinking run by Greason. Miller. And he's got the markers. That's good dummy half play. Spotting when the markers are out of position. And they're not going to kick for line. They're just going to go at them again with Robinson. Bang, bang, bang. And I reckon the next one will be Whitfield. No, they go out wide instead. Kuru. Looking again, that's knocked on there by Jackson. Just when they were building. They were building. And Jackson gets the fumbles. We have seen a few mistakes in there. There have been errors in the game. And it's Harris. And this is the 5 into the game. Packham, who I don't think's had a touch in the second half, all 12 minutes of it just yet. Now Keg King back onto the field. Straight into them. The Knights have landed a blow here. And that's McLean. They've been very willing. They've got good runners on the edges. The Central Coast, they've got Elton and McLean. Been doing a lot of work, but Elton's had to make his way off the field with an injury. Now Keg King. They're just building towards something at the end of this set, you feel. Harris, this might be what they were building to. He just dinks this in. If it gets the grass, it'll be awkward. It's taken well by Kuru, and then he's taken really well by the Roosters defenders and forced in goal. He's forced. They weren't asking nicely. The Roosters coming up with a response here after that very good Donahue try. Very meaty dropout. And so Paige Wilson's got a way to go into a strong red and blue line. So it's not quite the real estate they thought they'd be in, but they're fairly close all the same. This is Runchell. He's eventually folded over. He's set out deep to the left. Blackwall eventually goes that way. Harris has got one off his shoulder. He goes to Stevenson instead with a lot of pace. Riley Stevenson! Well, there didn't look to be a lot on there. And then he turned on the pace and sliced straight through. What a good try by the Roosters. He's got that second gear in him. We saw it a couple of weeks ago when he scored off that scrum. And he went from 0 to 100 very quickly there. And goes over with a chance to level the scores now for the Central Coast. This game is really burning now. It's 10 points to 8 with a kick to come. And that was Harris again, the big body. They've got to watch him closely because they know he likes to run. And he had one off his hip, one out the back and himself. And again, picked the right option. And now he's got a kick to level it with that hefty right boot of his. That's there. What a good kick by Regan Harris. We're square again here. It's 10 points all with 20 minutes to go. And we're seeing a proper one here in the Laurie Daley Cup. It's Morgan Campbell bringing it to you. And I hope you're enjoying the call and the game wherever you are. On the CRL Facebook page and on the CRL website, we're showing you all the games. You can see them all day. And if you're watching it online, let us know how you're, where you are and what and who you're barracking for. As Paige Wilson takes it forward. And we start up again. The class players are really showing here in this game. We've seen a really good try from Harris, another one from Donahue, another one from Stevenson. And now there's a penalty, a little bit too much work. Miller's very displeased with that decision. He's not happy about it at all, but he's going to have to wear it. The Roosters advance. And they're going to start a set on the 30 here. That's Packham to take the tap. And Harris will go himself. Keg King looking for Paige Wilson, finds DeBellis instead. DeBellis had to run, thought that made the right decision because he had too many options in the end. Blackhall. Blackhall on a scamper. It's a good scamper! Oh, there's never been a better scamper. He looked up and saw a gap and scuttled away. And they've gone bang bang, the Roosters. Having scored one try in about 50 minutes, they've scored 2 in 5. And they've hit the front for the first time in the game. In all the football we've seen this morning, the Central Coast haven't been in front once. In the Johns Cup and in the Daley Cup. Well, they're in front now, and the gap should go out to 6. Here's Harris. No mistake, 16-10. The Central Coast Roosters. Keep in mind, they only won once in all of last year's competition. They won one game in the Daley Cup, and when they played Newcastle last year, they lost 72 points to 8. There's no 72-8 today. They've hit the lead with about a quarter of the game to go. Donahue gets us going again. And Stevenson, DeBellis in fact takes the catch and takes Paige Wilson up. And the crowd are building into this game. You can just hear a little bit of noise coming through now. You'll be getting that in the effects mic, a bit of encouragement from the reasonably full grandstand. There they go. We're into the championship rounds now. Paige Wilson, Harris. Now Stevenson. He might have that little bit of pace again. He didn't get the open space that time. Didn't get room. I'm going to have to watch him closely. Clark. Still Clark. That's a good run. And look at this, last tackle. They're inside the 30. DeBellis. Boyle's chasing hard, but it's taken well over there by Cagney. Remember that opportunity the Roosters had to start this assault of points came from a forced dropout when they lifted and dragged one of the Knights players back in goal. It's been that effort that spurred this little recovery. So that was Gielan's run. Romano Cook's back on the field and he finds Gielan for another run. Staying alive, Keg King thrashing away at his arm there. And the ball's come out. They're going to give a penalty away here, the Roosters. That was one of those decisions that either side could have got. Donahue wants to get on with it. Throws a ball to Paige Wilson. Well, the crowd are upset. They think Paige Wilson was offside. But you can read about it in the paper tomorrow. Keg King has it now. He's barreled to the ground. There's a bit of feeling in this now. The ball's come out and the Knights love it. And now there's another bit of stench. It's been just bubbling. There've been a couple little flare-ups. That's the biggest one we've had so far. But I reckon we're in for a pretty handy 15 minutes of football here. Because these sides mean it. And they need it. And it's close. The Knights with a big chance now. The chance that they thought they had about a minute ago. And I reckon that bloke with the ball is going to be the main outlet, Kurt Donahue. But here's Ryan. The long ball over the top's not bad. Smith. Still Smith down the wing. The big second rower striding out. A full set of 6 in the Roosters half. Ryan. Greason. In the 13. Ryan, inside ball to Kuru. He went down. And Romano Cook's saying, get on with it, let's go. Here's Donahue. This is the man we were looking for. It's back inside, the ball's come loose. It's still there. But that's a forward pass at least. As Johnson went to ground. The Roosters escape. 16 points to 10. A converted try the difference with 13 to go. Where would you rather be? So Regan Harris with another touch. And here's Harrison Packham, and he's going to go himself and then find a really good ball. And it's off here for Logan Sipple. It's 1 versus 1 on the wing, and the Knights one gets the better of the Roosters one. Now Harris. Now McLean. And that bit of enterprise has got them a long way, the Roosters. Because they're attacking again. DeBellis. Good defence. Really good defence from Cook. And then Greason. Stevenson. Oh, up he came. It was Fisher who ran into the shoulder of Tyrone Neane. Greason again. Laver it is for the Roosters. The Central Coast on the attack here, looking to go further ahead. Harris. He'll create another one-on-one. It's taken over there by Kuru. And the Knights are away again. They've had 3 fullbacks today so far as I can tell. Cagney's gone back there at times. Gielan's gone back there. And most recently Mantell Kuru seems to be doing the job. But this is Greason with a strong run. Now Cook. Still Cook trying to catch the markers. And he didn't catch the markers, but he made a really good run. Made good ground. Every run seems to be applauded now by the crowd. Here's Donahue. Every tackle is getting a little clap and a little cheer. because the winner of this will be really well placed for the rest of the Laurie Daley Cup. Now Sipple with a bit of high stepping. And we've got a stoppage. There's a Newcastle player down injured here. So the trainers are going to have to get involved and everyone can just pause with 11 minutes left in the game. The Central Coast Roosters with the better of it. $16-10. The Knights got the first one. The Roosters equalised. The Knights got back in front 10-4. And the Roosters went snap, snap to get out to 16-10 in front. We've got a Heather on Facebook, says she's watching online from Wellington, New Zealand, watching her grandson go around. Grandson's James Johnson in the 15, who nearly got a try in the first half. Good on you, Heather. Thanks for getting in touch. And it's nice to hear from people who are watching in different parts of the world. It's one of the good things about the live streaming with Bar TV for the CRL is you get to see people overseas can watch their relos go around. So we'll keep an eye on James Johnson for you, Heather, over the last 11 minutes of this game. He's positioned out on the left-hand side, but this is Central Coast Roosters with the ball. And it was Cody Boyle who took that run, now to Bellis. And Regan Clark, and there's a chance here with Keg King turning up where front rowers shouldn't usually be. Now there's a chance for Boyle, who's come from the other side of the field. And he's grasped in a good tackle. But they've got the momentum again here. Keg King, Clark. Big chance here. Harris. Stevenson, watch the pace. He doesn't use it. Instead, he goes to Sipple, who's going towards the corner, flings it in field. The Knights escape again. They are defending with their lives here. They're putting absolutely everything into this defensive effort. And we are just about to tick inside the last 10 minutes of a very good scrap in the Laurie Daley Cup. Both of these teams need to travel away next week. The Central Coast going to play the Northern Rivers up in Lismore. The Knights have to go to Cabramatta to play the Eels. So a win here to put them on 4 points would be so valuable. That's Brock Greason. Now Cook. Still Cook. And the front rower deputises at dummy half and didn't do too bad either. Noah Ryan with the ball. Gets a good ball away to Greason. It was a forward ball. It was a forward ball to Greason. They thought they were having a moment there, the Knights. But no. There'll be none of that. And the time is still ticking away. 9 minutes remain. It's Lachlan Fisher in the middle of the park. The Roosters have had most of the play. It's Keg King. In the last 15 minutes or so, the Roosters have had most of it. Now Paige Wilson. must fancy themselves if they can get close to get across the line again. DeBellis. Now Stevenson with a bit of skip and jump. And he took the tackle when there wasn't much else on. He's got a sore face here. Something's happened to him. He's pointing at the touchy and saying he should have seen that. But he seemed to have a smile on his face while he was doing it. Now, Harris with lots of options. He goes to this blue sky at Maitland, and down with it comes the Knights. And they'll get a penalty as well. And this is a real chance for them now. They were in front of the kicker. I think that little stutter that he took, Regan Harris, just before he kicked it, might have just caused them to run offside. So Sam Robinson back onto the park and running hard. Cook. Whitfield, had a moment, got it back. Now it's come loose. Well, he got the juggles when he was past it originally, and then he's fumbled it in to play the ball. Well. It opens up for the Roosters again. 6 minutes 30 seconds to go. Morgan Campbell with you on Bar TV for the Country Rugby League. And we're seeing a really good one. Cody Boyle plays it. Now Nathan Keeg-King. Blackhall finds Paige Wilson, who finds some leg drive. Now they'll get a penalty. I reckon they take the 2 here. The hand went up from Blackhall straight away. I don't think we've seen too many penalty goals in this competition, but we'll see one now, because they're going to go 8 in front with 5 to go here, the Roosters. And that's a big moment in the game. Plenty of people in the ground early on here. They're playing in front of a good crowd. And the crowd are seeing a contest for 2 very important points. As Harris sends it over, sends the mate clear. As the clock just ticks under 5 minutes. And suddenly the Knights will need luck or a lot of quality. It was goal kicking that let them down last week. They lost 18-16. They scored 4 tries and didn't convert any of them. But today they're 3 tries to 2 down and 18 points to 10. The short kickoff's attempted, and it hasn't quite come off in the end. It was a little attempt, but Laver fell on the ball. You could see what Noah Ryan was trying to do there. Stevenson takes a run from dummy half. Well, the only result is the Roosters have ended up with more field position. They've had so much of it in the second half as Boyle goes on. Such a turnaround from last year when they got walloped by this Newcastle side. There are improvements happening in Central Coast Rugby League. Keeg-King. Now there's a stoppage, and it's last tackle in fact. So that didn't quite go to plan, but it's not the worst result in the world. 3.5 minutes left for the Knights to get 2 scores. Cook finds Ryan. He finds Donahue. He's going to try that step on again. It worked well enough a few minutes ago. Not today. Not this time. DeBellis was having none of it. There's a bit of shove there again. He's been in it a bit, Kurt Donahue. This is Neville. Now Robinson passing to the other front row. Whitfield. A couple of big bodies in the front row. Cook. Ryan. Threatened to kick and then didn't. Finds Smith. Right under the nose of the touchy. There's a player down for the Roosters. They've only got 12 in the line. Donahue. Still Donahue. It's off legs. It's still alive. It's there again for Laver, who for the second time falls on a loose ball. And that's a really important service for the Roosters, who are on their way now. 2.5 minutes left here. If it stays like this, they'll go to 4 points on the competition. Parramatta are on 3. The North Coast are on 3. Newcastle will be stuck on 2 with the Greater Northern Tigers. And Northern Rivers are on 0. The North Coast, they're away to the Northern Rivers side. The Johns Cup has just kicked off. The Daley Cup will start at 1:05. That's up in Grafton. Parramatta are away to the Greater Northern Tigers today. So whatever happens, the Central Coast will be going past Newcastle and at least one other team. They can't be any lower than 3rd after today's games, Central Coast, if they go on and win this game. Tigers and Penrith's happening today as well. The Daley Cup's just kicked off in that fixture. Illawarra South Coast and Western Division, that one's underway as well in Fig Tree. Monero and Riverina are about to start at West Belconnen down in Canberra. There's plenty happening around country New South Wales. Of course, in the Southern Pool in the Daley Cup, it's the Western Division who lead it on 4 points. Illawarra South Coast are on 3. Monero 2, Riverina 2, Penrith 1 and the Tigers 0. So it's definitely the countrysides doing the better over the outskirts of Sydney so far in the Daley Cup. But of course the top 2 teams from this pool that we're watching right now will play against the top 2 from the Southern Pool in semi-finals and then eventually in a grand final. It is Stevenson with that pace again. And they're in the Knights' territory again. They've spent so much time here as Harris. They don't really need to do anything silly now, the Roosters. They can hang on to this ball, stick it into touch, and the Knights will have a minute to score 8 points. DeBellis, he won't stick it into touch, but he'll send it very long. And Cagney holds it and then loses it. And he sticks his hand up and says, sorry lads. But really, they just haven't quite been able to get it together in attack, the Knights, especially in the second half. They've scored 2 tries, but just watch the game get away from them. They had a lot of opportunities in the first half, both sides did. But in not taking them, they left themselves vulnerable to the flurry of points that came from the Roosters and about the 3/4 mark of the game. And now there's less than a minute left. And the Central Coast, who only won once in the Laurie Daley Cup or the Johns Cup last year, are going to get their second win over a team that beat them by 64 points last year. As here's Stevenson with one last shot. He's still going, Stevenson. And it is one last shot and one last try to kick the margin out and put an exclamation mark on this win for the Roosters. The Central Coast are having a big day. They're 22 points to 10 in front. And there is some revenge for the Central Coast for the defeat for the Johns Cup side earlier today and for the humiliation last season. They're going to get a very good win here. And Riley Stevenson's been crucial to it with a second try on that left fringe. He just had too much pace off the mark and then kept fighting when he looked held. And Regan Harris won't waste time here in sending this over. Here he comes. He's kicked well today. 3 from 4. It's 4 from 5 it ends. And it's over. And that is a very good win for the Central Coast Roosters, and an important one. Whoever won today was going to be really well placed to make it through to the finals. And it's the Roosters, the Central Coast Roosters, who get the points. 24 points to 10 over the Newcastle Knights. A very impressive showing in the second half. Remember, it was 4-4 at half time, and the Roosters came out and scored 3 times in that second period. They get the points today. In the Andrew Johns Cup, it was the Knights who got it 40 points to 10. So it's a share of the points in the country junior championships today up at Maitland Sports Ground. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Morgan Campbell signing off for Bar TV. Keep watching the CRL website, keep watching the CRL Facebook page for plenty more from the country championships today and for the next couple of weeks. Bye for now.